everybody, it is Quicken and welcome back to another episode of The X-Files. Are you my X-File? So, if you're new to this channel or new to this series, The X-Files is my series all about my dating failures that I have experienced in my young life. Are you just gonna... I share these stories with you almost as comic relief, not to make you feel upset in any way. My only request to you is that you do not witch hunt these men. They're in my past for a reason. Today I share this story with you almost in hesitance because the guy who I really dated, I think there has been a lot of questions. Why is my RoboCop in the background? I think there's been a lot of questions like, hey, you didn't date some of these guys. And it's true, I have not had a lot of like boyfriends. And that's why this is kind of just like a dating failures kind of thing. Like, I swear, I really didn't start dating until pretty recently in my life. So I have not had a lot of boyfriends, but there have been some gentlemen in my life who've made awkward and lasting impressions. This is a guy who I dated, and the thing that went wrong in our relationship is that we just were not compatible. And I think that he's cute, and wherever he is in life, I hope he's doing well. But I'll share the story with you of the guy who was cute, but it just didn't work out. I would hate to say I was too alternative for him because I swear that is the title of another X-Files, Too Alt for You, but that's almost how it started off. It starts a couple years ago. I was living with my very first roommate, and she was really into the idea of me dating her boyfriend's best friend. As her roommate, I'm sure I was her acting best friend, so it did make a lot of sense. You know, we could double date, it would make hanging out a lot easier, and it would probably give her a very strong ally in her relationship with her guy. But if you've ever been in that experience, it kind of makes things really weird, especially when they fight, or if, I don't know, his best friend is a cowboy. I'm not super familiar with this kind of lifestyle, you know, riding trucks, listening to country music, watching the country music awards, working on machines, hunting. I'm really not, if you couldn't have guessed. But I was into dabbling. I didn't shoot any guns, but I was like, maybe this is a manly man. This is what a manly man is like, and I'm enjoying this manly man. But really, as it got down to it, I was like, this is weird and I'm really out of my comfort zone. So we started dating, and you know, he was probably like one of the cuter guys I'd ever dated. He was tall and he had nice clothes. He had a personality and a style, and he also had hobbies, which I'm so into. Dudes with hobbies. But his hobbies kind of included hunting, and like hunting, he would like live in a tree. It's called like a tree stand, where you like make a very small little tree house and you like live in a tree for like 3 days to like shoot one deer that might walk by. I don't know anything about hunting. He was into like quads and quadding and like off-roading, which I didn't really know anything about. And he was also into like drinking beers and I don't know, all that kind of stuff, like loving his mom and all those really wholesome things that in the beginning I was like, oh, very pure, okay, very wholesome, very nice, a nice boy, not a boy who is gonna cheat on me senior week, just a nice wholesome boy, loves his mom. I kind of dabbled in that life, but it was not a give and take. There was not like a really equal exchange of him dabbling in my life. Like, I remember I was like, hey, do you want to listen to some of the music I like? And he was like, why is this sad? And I was like, what? 'Cause I'm sad. What do you mean? And he had like all these little catchphrases that really rubbed me really the wrong way. Like, He kind of told me, like, my septum was pierced then, and I had like maybe four tattoos total. And he was like, you're not gonna get any more tattoos, right? That's plenty. You're a tattooed girl. And I was like, oh yeah, no more, I guess. Sure, okay, to please you, anything. It really kind of felt like I was almost a commodity to him, like a little trophy, like has a few tattoos, token alt girlfriend, when we would go to like little things. I remember we played beer pong for the very first time in my life, and I felt pretty weird about that. And like his mom came out and joined us. And I was like, this is weird. Your parents aren't supposed to know that you do things, dirty things. And he still lived with his parents, but like in a very respectable way. Like, I'm saving up for a house living with my parents. And I'm really not trying to treat this lifestyle like a commodity. Like, it seems foreign to me, but I also have like more, what would that be called? Like, rural friends, and I definitely like lived out there and enjoyed it and just thought it was like a different aspect of life. Like, yeah, I'll wear overalls. I remember one time I slept over his house, his parents' house, and you know, we like watched TV until it got late, like some real like wholesome American stuff. And I remember like his parents like weren't there for the weekend or something like that, or they were already in bed, like there were no parents around. And I remember I had a Polaroid camera. It was like the year that Polaroid, I think, was like announcing that they were no longer in production, and I had bought out like a whole CVS of all their Polaroid film, and I was trying to take like a lot of Polaroid pictures, and I was taking them of my friends and of myself. My Polaroid camera had a self-timer, and I was like, all right, this relationship's going somewhere. Do you want to take a picture together? And he was like, why? That's an old camera. Why would we do that? Why? We don't need Polaroid film. Why would we do that? Like, he was so interested in the concept. And I feel like if I was dating an indie dude, he'd be like, yeah, let's take 2 pictures so I can have one. And pin it to my bulletin board and put it inside of my acoustic guitar. You know, indie boy stuff. So I remember we were like in his kitchen. I was in like, I guess like pajama-esque kind of stuff, like a little t-shirt and like shorts that are too short to wear outside. And I remember he took off his shirt because he had like one back tattoo that he was like really into. And we posed together, kind of like in a pretty cool, tough way. So we posed together, I got the Polaroid, and I really liked it. I really liked the way it came out. It was like kind of grainy and like close to being expired. I just really loved it. And I tucked that little photo in the dash of my car, and I thought it was pretty cute, you know, just a little cute thing. But, you know, you would see the picture and think it was cute, but then it was kind of like, well, behind the scenes, he didn't really understand why I took it and why I wanted it and like what it meant, and just like have a memento like that was real and authentic and not just like a quick picture on your phone. Did we have picture phones then? I had that in my dash, and I used to drive my friend to school, and we were kind of like crack jokes, like, look at this picture, like, I don't know, I like having it in my car, like, always felt kind of weird because there wasn't like much backing to it. Like, he was a country boy and this was kind of just like our worlds colliding. But I remember I like read this thing, oh my god, it was probably in Teen Vogue, about this like ultra punk dude, like Mohawk dude, ultra punk, who had this like preppy, nice, straight A cheerleader girlfriend. And it was like, wow, it's so crazy that their worlds collide and they could find love. So I always thought about that, and I was like, yeah, maybe we come from 2 different, like, really major different worlds, where, like, I want to go to shows and have a CD collection, and he wants to, like, drive in the mud and spend the weekend in a tree, like, spraying deer pee all over himself. I remember just feeling like there wasn't that real connection, and that I was kind of forcing the connection for my roommate's sake, for his sake, for the sake of being in a relationship, and, you know, forgetting my ex who had really done me dirty. And all of that just put a lot of pressure on the relationship and kind of created an atmosphere that was not there. And I still feel guilty. So There was one weekend where we went to the Poconos, which is kind of like a mountainous, like rural part of Pennsylvania. And I remember we drove like 4 hours to get there, and like we didn't listen to any music I liked. We kind of just like sat quietly in the car, unless we listened to country, and I mentally blocked that out. I don't remember. We got there, and I remember I brought homework. I was in community college at the time, and I like busied myself with homework the whole time. It was like a really authentic cabin that we stayed in, like no internet, like no TV. I feel like the hot water situation like required fire. I don't know. But we were truly in the middle of nowhere, and where I feel like this would be a time for me to shine, like unplugged. I remember being really bored and like feeling really weird. And I remember he was like, let's go out on my quad. I've always wanted to take a girl on my quad. Like, I've always wanted to have sex on my quad. Like, how crazy would that be? And I was like, yeah, crazy. Woo, I'm actually tired. What? So, gonna go to sleep? Do you wanna play solitaire? Like, and you know, I did do a lot of my homework, but I also like faked being asleep a lot. And I remember there were other things like he would say, he one time he said like, you can tell a girl loves you if you fart while she's giving you a BJ and she doesn't stop. And I was like, what? Who told you that? There's no Facebook yet. Who told you that? Just like weird things like that. And he was like, okay, you and I, we should have a pact where if we ever run into this one person, it's not cheating if we hook up with them. And I was like from Entourage? And he was like, ready? Mine is Megan Fox. And I was like, oh, Louis C.K.? I don't know. And just like weird little things like that I'm just like not into like all the way, but like they're perfectly fine if they exist somewhere. Just like little things that didn't get along, that just like didn't mesh. They didn't go together. I had to fake being asleep. So I broke up with him, and it sucked. Like, at that point, I had never broken up with anybody before. All of my boyfriends had set all my dreams on fire before that, so walking away was pretty easy. I was like, oh, wipe some ashes off of my face and pick up the pieces. But this guy, you know, he was cool. He was really nice, pretty genuine. Like, nothing I really wanted him to change about himself, because he was already like that. And I was just like too quiet and too stationary, and I don't want to have sex on a quad. And Megan Fox, like, how cliche. I remember I was so overwhelmed by this thought. The friend who, like, we would drive to school together every day, we were at a point where he had become a character in our rides to school, and we would go, yeehaw, Megan Fox. So that's a bad sign in your relationship where you make fun of your boyfriend. I don't want to do that. He was so nice. So, came time to pull the plug. I remember I was at school. I went to a shopping center outside of campus, and I called him, and I was like, hey, you and I don't get along, and it's not you, it's me. And up until that point, I was like, that's a really cliche breakup. But when it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh, I get it now. And I mean, I felt so bad, but it was getting to a point in our relationship where he was starting to say, I love you. And I really couldn't tell if he was just saying it because he heard it in a country song or he saw it on Transformers. But I was like, oh God, no. No, you don't. You really don't. You're just a good guy. I went home, and he still came to my house sometimes. He would come over and sleep over, and it was probably a lot of fun for him to sleep in my room and hang out with his best friend. Like, that was probably so much fun for him. I wanted to be like, you can just sleep in my room and I'll go somewhere else. I don't want to hurt you. Gentle boy. I remember one night he was over and he came to my room and he was like, hey. I was like, hey. And at this point, I got like 3 piercings in like the course of like 2 weeks, breaking all the rules of our relationship. Pierce this, Megan Fox knocks on the door, and he's like, hey, you know, I just wanted to ask you, can I have that Polaroid picture we took together? And I remember, oh, my heart hurt. And I was like, why? He was like, I don't know. I've never taken a picture like that before. And although I really cherished it in my like sick way, I gave it to him. And I have no other copy of it. A little later, after I ran out of all my Polaroid film, I had scanned all of my Polaroid pictures and turned them into like a series for like a pretend art show I had in my own bedroom, only I attended. But I'd scanned all the Polaroid pictures, and that is the only one I have never seen again. And I gave it to him. And maybe to this day he still has it in a shoebox under his bed. And maybe, you know, he lived with his parents all this time. He bought a really nice house, maybe a ranch. But it never would have worked out. I don't know. I just felt like we didn't get along. We were from 2 different worlds. And although I really wanted to date somebody and I really wanted to love somebody, it wasn't him. And I could just tell that we didn't get along. Ooh, breaking up was hard. I don't want to do that. But that's the story of my cowboy and the Polaroid picture that maybe he still has. Maybe I'll become world famous and that Polaroid picture will be worth thousands of dollars and he can buy another truck. Or maybe it won't and he got rid of it when he started dating a girl that worked out for him. I bet he's married. You know what I mean? Anyway, this is the X-Files. Check out the playlist down below for previous episodes of the X-Files. And if this is your first time joining this is a continuous series on my channel, so you can hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for the next one. Give this video a thumbs up if you're here for the X-Files, and let me know down below if you've ever dated somebody who was cute and handsome, but you just didn't get along, and he had little catchphrases. The fart thing, gotta go. I love you guys, and until next time, bye.